Hey everybody, Cam White here. Today, I'm here to make a really exciting announcement about something that I've been really wanting to do for a really long time, and I'm finally ready to put it out publicly, and that is a new offering that I'm doing. This offering is going to be called the VIP Life Planning and Chart Mapping Full Day Session. It's an 8-hour session with me, pretty much an all-day thing. Why I'm really excited about this is because in my 1-hour consultations, which I go, if you've gotten a consultation with me, you know how in depth I go and how much detail I really go into. I've really been wanting to work with clients on a one-on-one level in a much deeper way that 1 hour just doesn't allot the time for. And I've been really wanting to work with clients who are, whether they're entrepreneurs or they're people that have very ambitious goals and they take them very seriously and they want a guideline or a plan on achieving those. And that's exactly what this session is. This is an 8-hour session where we dive incredibly deep into your birth chart and we go over every single placement that you have, where it's at, terms, decan, aspects, all of the things that we can go into with your birth chart. And we go into it in detail. And the reason that we start off with that is, number one, I want people to have a session where you can just get everything about your birth chart, read for you. In a 1-hour session, even with the best astrologers, going into every single thing about your birth chart is almost impossible to do within an hour. It takes a lot of time to break all of these things down. And so we start off with that. And the reason we start off with that again, too, is so we have a framework. The idea of this session is to, again, get a 5-year plan together. I want people to walk away from this session with an idea of, here are my goals, here are my dreams, here's what I want to do. We first go into the birth chart and say, okay, what are the things that are allotted to you? Where are the successes allotted to you? Where can we find these successes? And we want to break down every little part of your chart that's going to show that. We're also going to break down every single part of your chart that might inhibit that. And this is also kind of a broader idea. And again, not everyone's going to agree with me on this in terms of fate and free will. And again, no astrologer kind of agrees on that. We might have kind of somewhat of a consensus around certain things, but this is, just coming from me. I genuinely believe that there is a fate, but I also believe that free will is just as strong. I've seen a lot of people with very difficult charts overcome immense obstacles and have great success in their life. And I've had people with, honestly, on paper, great charts that can't seem to get their shit together. And so I say that because there are things that are going to be in your chart that, inhibit you or that become obstacles or roadblocks in the path that you want to take and whatever that is, whatever, goals that you have in your life. And rather than looking at those obstacles as impenetrable walls, in this session, I want to go over hey, and this is just true for astrology in general, you have these obstacles, but luckily your chart also shows you how to get through them. So I break down the whole chart in immense detail, everything that is allotted to you. Then we sit down and then we have around an hour discussion around, okay, these are your goals. What is the problem here? Why aren't we achieving these goals? What's going to get in your way? If you've gotten a consultation with me, probably in the past year to 6 months, I have taken my consultations to kind of a different level where, as an astrologer, it is really about hey, I just got to read the chart. I trust the chart. But there's sometimes I'll get a client and given their questions and given what they're saying, it's this isn't about an astrology reading. This is about something deeper. And I've had enough. I mean, I've got 2,000 hours clocked into doing this work that I feel very confident in being able to, kind of get to the pinpoint of, people's issues and help them guide them to where they want to be. And so we kind of sit down there and do a coaching session where the coaching session essentially okay, here are your goals. Here are your roadblocks. We have this chart. We have this amazing map that kind of shows us everything about it. Let's actually talk about it. Why is, let's say you have Saturn in the 10th house. Why is that the limiting factor? Who's a great example of Saturn in a night chart in the 10th house that still was successful? Michael Jackson. Pretty much the most successful artist of all time had one of the worst placements you can get for career. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, I bring all that up to say we do this coaching session and then we go over the next 5 years. The reason I do 5 years is because 10, 20 years, it's really hard to see out there in that future. Again, the astrology is going to show that, but putting those pieces together is a lot more difficult versus 5 years. Most people make a 5-year plan for themselves. Most people kind of have a general 5-year plan, but we go over these next 5 years in extreme detail, and I pull out all of the stops with all of the techniques I have available to at my disposal to go over like, hey, what do these next 5 years look like? Month by month, what are the significant transits that you're going to encounter? When is going to be the time to really like go, go, go? And when is the time going to be maybe to stop, relax, take care of something else real quick? When is the time that you will see the success? And when is the time that you will hit a wall and you will have to work on whatever the work is for you to overcome that? This is an 8-hour session that breaks down, your birth chart. We go into the coaching aspect, plus the 5 years. It's a really big session. On top of that, I'm also providing 5 years of the transit calendar that I offer, as well as a few other calendars that I don't have publicly available. If you understand annual perfections and Time Lords, I'm having both your Time Lord transit calendar for 5 years, as well as your activated transits to your activated planet calendar, as well as a lunar calendar too. The lunar calendar ends up kind of being a lot, but it is something nice to have just for those specific details. But where this is really cool, and this is where I get really excited, and I think I launched this as a test launch a couple months ago to my email list, which, by the way, if you want, like access to things that I may not talk about publicly, sign up for my newsletter, which I should have on my website. But I launched this a couple months ago as a test. I just wanted to see what this was going to look like and how this was going to work. And I got to talk to a handful of clients. They were all really amazing. They all got a lot out of this. And once their book is in their hand, they'll have a review. And you're probably like, book? That's the next part about this. All of this is going to be put into a book. And I'm not talking about just like, a binder. This is a premium leather book that is meant to last for decades upon decades moving into the future. Because the way I look at it is, like, why spend all of this time looking up your placements? And like let's say you have Venus and Leo in the 11th house. You can look up Venus and Leo. You can look up in the 11th house. Maybe if you're lucky, you could find Venus and Leo in the 11th house. But what if it's, squaring Pluto? Or what if it's sextiling Mercury? Like, those kind of pieces are going to be a lot harder to bring in. And so in this session, what we do is all of the birth chart stuff that we go into, I then put that into a book format where you have a physical copy of your birth chart, like your own personalized book that you can have literally for the rest of your life to always refer back to in immense detail. It's really, really nice. And then I also, in that same book, go over the next 5 years of transits. And again, month by month detail. So you have something physical to always refer to on your path. Like, whatever goals that you have, you can just refer back to this book and say, hey, this is what I got going on this month. This is what I got going on this month, based off of the goals that we set together, or at least the goals that you tell me, that I then say, all right, like, if that's your goal, this is what the path looks like ahead. This is something that I don't believe another astrologer has ever offered before. This to me, I think, is just really, really cool. The price is $47.50, and I understand this is not going to be for everyone. This is also something I can't do for everyone. This is something that I'm only allotting so much time to be able to do because it's an immense amount of work. Not only is it the 8-hour session, but getting together the book. I have a team of people that are helping me with this, and that also costs money too. But the idea is to provide something so in-depth, and especially for the people that have big goals, that have big ambitions, and that they want and that they will achieve them, and that the clarity of what the path looks like and understanding what, because I think the most valuable thing I get out of astrology as like a professional, like I just know shit as being like, oh, I know I'm on the right path. Even when the path gets rocky, even when the path, I have obstacles in my way, I still know I'm on the right path. And I know I'm going to get to where I need to go because I understand that this is simply an obstacle and not just a hard no from the universe. That's where astrology is incredibly, immensely valuable to me. And I just can't always convey that in just a 1-hour consultation. But this is more for like, okay, like you have all these goals. And, I remember a time in my life when I had all of these goals and dreams and ambitions, but I didn't know what the future looked like. I didn't understand what the future looked like. And this is meant to solve that problem. It's meant to give you the clarity and the insight is like, hey, this is what your path is going to look like moving forward. If you stick to these goals, which is relatively easy to do, all it really takes is just commitment and discipline. And you have this map. It's like, would you go hiking if you didn't have a map of the terrain or a map of the path? Maybe the path makes a sharp corner and there's bushes and trees and you think the path ends, but actually it doesn't end. It keeps going. Like if you had a map of that, you would understand that you can keep moving forward and that you can keep going and that this is just an obstacle in the way. But when you don't have that, it's hard to comprehend that. And you might be like, oh my gosh, is this path end? Should I move forward? Should I turn around? I'm a little bit lost. This session is meant to solve that problem. This session, so like I said before, I did this with a couple of clients. They all had a really good experience with it. I'm going to be putting their reviews out once they get their book in hand. The book part of it does take a minute. It took a minute to develop the system in order to getting it done. I should have the books in my hand between the next, it's May, end of May. So like either by the end of June, July time. And I will be posting that for you guys because I want you guys to see what the physical thing is going to look like. I just wanted to make this announcement for this because, again, I understand this isn't for everybody. I understand a lot of people might want to do this but may not be able to afford it. The reason I'm doing this is I really want to work with clients that are operating at a higher caliber that really want to go into this, because I think another thing too, that as an astrologer, there's nothing more like gets my rocks off than being like having a session with someone saying like, hey, this is what the next year is going to look like. Oh, you have this goal? Sweet. This is where, you're going to have a moment in time where you can kind of hit that goal. And watching them do that, like watching them say, hey, like you were right. This obstacle came up, but I did this, this, and that, and I'm still on the way. There is just, it's just one of those things that's just like I'm like a personal cheerleader, I feel like, for a lot of my clients. And this session is just meant to take that to the most extreme level and also provide this premium book that will really last a lifetime that you can always refer back to with your birth chart. So anyway, I'm making this announcement because I'm really excited about it. And I've been wanting to just do something different with astrology. As an astrologer, I just feel like there's only so many roads that you can take. And for me, what I love in doing in astrology, the absolute most, is working with clients. Like, there's a lot of people that enjoy, let's say, writing. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy making content. I love yapping on a video, but I love working with people. That is why I do this work. It is so rewarding to just like work with people one-on-one, dive into their charts, and the people that are there, you guys are hungry for like what the road ahead looks like, understanding yourselves more so you can better yourself. Like, I'm so grateful that I've developed a community that isn't focused on like, oh, like, I want you to validate why my life sucks. It's like, that's kind of a part of astrology. Like, yeah, you kind of have these hard things, but like, you're here because you want more. You're here because you know you are greater than what you are right now. You are here because you know that there is something more available to you and that you have access to it, but you just need help clarifying that and understanding that. So anyway, I just wanted to make this video to announce this. This is something very special to me. I think it is a very special and unique offer you're really not going to find anywhere else. I'm really excited to do it. Like I said, I did with a couple clients before. I'll be having their reviews posted at some point. Once I get their books in their hand, that's what I really want to do first. And again, it took us a little bit longer than we anticipated to get the kind of book together. And, by the way, the astrology when I did this at first was during the Mercury retrograde in Aries. I did this during the Mercury retrograde to be like, I know things are going to go wrong. Like, there's an idea that you have in your head, and then there's the actual application of it. And there was a lot of things that we didn't really think about or that came up that we had to, address that we weren't necessarily anticipating. And so I feel as if we've got a lot of those kinks worked out, and that we've developed a system to where we know what work is going to go into this and we can do this efficiently and effectively. So anyway, I'm just going to say that. Go ahead and check out the website if you want to know a little bit more about what goes into it and if you guys want to book. And with that being said, I'll be seeing you guys soon for the next weekly as well. I have a bonus video for you guys coming up here soon. So with that being said, take care.